Hey, good morning, everybody. Welcome to a Friday Mortgage Coach Productivity Mastermind. What's up, everybody? I've got my co-host, Todd Bookspan. What's up, Todd?
Hey, not much. Good to be here, especially with this guy over to my left or right, whatever it is. I don't know what you guys see out in your land, but this is a big day for me, hanging out with the two of you.
Yeah, Ken Perry. So super stoked to have you on the team today, Ken. What's up?
Good to be on here, man. Thank you. You guys look great. Oh, man. I just realized you guys are wearing your AirPods. Hang on.
Oh, don't worry. Don't blow up the call. So, hey, everybody. Welcome to the Friday call. This is a mastermind. Todd actually texted me yesterday and goes, hey, are we having the call tomorrow? Because it is kind of a holiday week, and New Year's is just a couple days away. And I said, well, I mean, I don't care if 3 people show up. I'm going to show up. If it's a 15-minute call, so be it. It looks like we're going to end up having over 50 people on the call today. So it looks like y'all want to talk and mastermind to improve your productivity so you can make more money in less time. So that's what we're here to talk about. I asked Ken for a couple reasons. I'm going to show our Facebook group. Whoops, I hit the wrong button. If you guys could confirm in 1 minute that you can see my screen. Tell me when you see it.
We see it.
Yep.
All right. So first and foremost, before I go through some of the conversations that we're going to have today, I want everybody to know if you showed up for this call and you have a topic or a question, for one of the 3 of us or just for the community, your question comes first. So post that and go to webinar and we'll get to that question. But I invited Ken for 2 reasons. One, someone popped in, not someone, Elizabeth. Thank you, Elizabeth. Great job at collaborating. Put in a question, is anyone using MS Teams groups as a team intranet? Would love to pick your brain. And I interpret that as, hey, who's using technology to collaborate in a multi-device world with their team or with their organization? And then I take it one step further, and who's using technology to build skills and train teams and people. And I know no one better than Ken Perry. I mean, he's, the founder of the Knowledge Coop, and I'm going to bring him into the conversation. So that's going to be a topic. If anybody wants to add on to that conversation, let me know. And then the other reason why I asked Ken Perry, and I hadn't even planned to invite him to the call. It was kind of like, okay, two Ken Perry things in 1 week, is Ken posted a 4-minute video on his personal page a couple days ago talking about a pretty amazing accomplishment that he had. And then he not only talked about the accomplishment, but he broke down his process to doing something that's pretty crazy. So Ken, I want to make sure that you get a chance to talk about that today. Sound good, brother?
Sounds great.
All right. Well, before we start asking Ken questions, let's see if anybody has a question. So, by the way, no one has posted a question. And Todd, before we start peppering Ken with questions, anything you want to make sure we talk about today?
I just want to give an endorsement for my good friend Ken Perry. Besides the fact that he and I have a Snapchat streak that's now over 100 days, so it's great to see him some other way other than on Snapchat. You know what? When I was originating Ken, we would fly him into town to do our CE. Like, there's no more fun way to do CE as a branch or as a team than with Ken and the Knowledge Coop. And now that he does it online, unfortunately, I don't need it anymore. But I'm just telling you guys, if you got any last minute CE, I would totally endorse using the Knowledge Coop for it because it's not boring, right? You'll already see in the few minutes we'll have with Ken that he's super funny and good looking. And so you'll never get tired of that, but it's always a lot of fun to be part of what he has going on. So I would encourage you guys just to follow him. I mean, Dave's already shined a light on one of his videos he recently did, but I do think that there's no better source from a compliance perspective in the industry, and just really gives a perspective that I value. And I think that you guys will value if you actually invest a few minutes just to follow him online and see what he's got going on over there.
Awesome. So let me, no one has posted a question or comment, so I'm going to unpack what I think will be at least 30 minutes of talk time, maybe 40. Who knows? With the 3 of us, we could probably talk about this for hours. We're gonna get to accountability because let's face it, it's days from New Year's. We're all writing down goals, aspirations that we have. and there's probably nothing more important than achieving those is how do you create accountability for yourself? Who are the people that create accountability for you? What are your processes for creating accountability? So we're going to definitely make that a big conversation. But before we do that, because I am so passionate about leveraging technology to upgrade skills, build teams, take people from, struggling to thriving to breaking records. I mean, that's what Mortgage Coach does. That's why we do the YouTube channel, because we can make a video, we can interview someone, we can post it. If you subscribe, you're alerted to the fact. You can share it. I just believe in that. So let's start with the question, Ken, that came up in Facebook from Elizabeth on, MS groups. I guess since this is the first time you've been on our Friday call, if you could just tell everybody a little, give us a minute on who is Ken Perry, and then answer Elizabeth's question, and we'll talk about that for 5 or 10 minutes.
Yeah, definitely. So I've been in the mortgage industry since 1998. I was a loan officer, an account executive, and then in 2003 started a training company just to make sure everybody could do the job of a loan officer correctly. And so started doing that. Then I read a couple laws, fell madly in love with reading laws. I have read every law that's mortgage related because I have a way of taking something really complex and boiling it down to what you really need to know, and then delivering that in a way that's funny and engaging. So it's not boring, because I hate boring. And so that's what I do. So like this week, I'm all week, every day from 8:30 to 11:30. I've been filming our 2018 8-hour CE for online. And so we do online CE and live CE, live all over the country, online. We have every state through the NMLS. So our goal is to make it something that you really want to watch and engage in. And funny thing, where you're sitting, Dave, or right down the hall from there. For those of you who don't know, Dave Savage works in this killer office. He gave me the access to his conference room, and we did a user meeting just to find out what people. Oh, sorry. Yeah, may have. We did a user and brought in some users and just asked them about the system and stuff like that. And what was really interesting to me is one of the people who was really vocal in the meeting. She gave us so much good data. She was talking about the training that's assigned to her and how it's insulting. And they waste her time. And it's an hour of super boring, time-wasting stuff that she could basically pass a test and move through. And she's not learning anything. And she actually has a negative view of her company because they're assigning her just garbage. And our goal is to do training that people want to binge watch. And we've been pretty successful in doing that. And it's compliance training. So it's not easy what we do, but it's what we love to do. And it's what I love to do. So that's what we've done, is really built that training side. And then the question on Facebook was great. And when you think about what you use outside of work, you're using YouTube to learn everything. I YouTubed just last night to learn how to fix something in my house. So we're doing that when we want to learn something. We don't always need to know everything. We just need to know where we can look to find it. And then with like messaging, I'm using WhatsApp with my friends, and it keeps me connected with friends over a certain subject. So we've got like a Trailblazers WhatsApp where we just talk about the Blazers. So if I'm using this technology outside of work, we looked at how do you use it inside and make it actually work for mortgage to build your company together, because collaboration is just not happening in the mortgage industry. And outside of companies it is, where it's here. Dave, you do an amazing job of collaborating, bringing people from other companies. But within companies, we see this competition that goes on between loan officers where they're competing for business and they don't see each other as a team and they're not working together to grow their businesses. And if we could create a system that allows people to connect and communicate, then we actually can win for companies. And then you start seeing people not leave the company because they're getting great training, but they're also collaborating inside their company system. And so that's what we've done. It was really funny. We asked a question in that brainstorming session where we said, does your company do anything to help you collaborate with other people in the company? And the answer was like, well, why would they do that? It's like, oh my gosh, like missed opportunities everywhere. We should be a team. We should be a big, giant team so that nobody can walk in and offer a better split and start stealing people from the company.
Love it. Love it. So I know that at least 15 to 20 of our clients use the Knowledge Coop as their training platform, their learning management system, so that not only can a company assign compliance training, hopefully humorous, funny, entertaining compliance training that you want to binge watch, which, by the way, that sounds like a pretty, like, now mortgage coach, sales training, how to make more money in less time, how to do annual reviews. By the way, everybody, all of our training can be assigned through the Knowledge Cube. So anybody out there that's either a team leader or a manager, and you have the Knowledge Cube, you could do that. So Ken, if you could, because we don't want to, I mean, obviously I endorse the Knowledge Cube and support it, but some companies or loan officers are companies that don't have the Knowledge Cube, and they still need to operate as a team. You know, they still need to collaborate as a team. Obviously, YouTube is a piece of that technology, and the Mortgage Coach channel is, you know, it's one channel, but there is other content and there are other technologies. So if you could just speak as an expert at online collaboration and tools for someone that can't get the Knowledge Cube, if you could speak to that, and then let's also, I know you have a vision to make Knowledge Cube available to individual loan officers. Let's make sure we kind of close this conversation around telling them how they could do that. But if you could just give us some basic, broad expertise, that would be helpful for our community.
Yeah, it's so the power is the power of we is better than the power of me, and that's what we kind of base everything off of. So no matter what, first of all, if you're not in the Knowledge Cube, and yeah, getting something that's collaborative and starting to even just throwing meetings. I was a debate coach back in high school and back in college, and then after college, and my kids won the national championship that I was coaching. And the reason was we all got together, split up everything we wanted to learn, and then taught it back to each other. Once a week, we'd get together and you teach back what you learned. And so even physical on-site collaboration, that needs to be happening where you go, I mean, the thought of I know everything is the thought that kills business, right? The wise man is he who knows that he knows nothing. So if we were to go and every week in our office, if I was to learn a new thing about FHA and come and be like, hey guys, I researched FHA, here's what I learned, it'll help you. And then Todd goes in and learns something new about VA and he's like, did you guys know this about VA? Just that collaboration would be huge. But if you take that and now make it online, so no matter what the system you're using, anybody that goes to a conference like Sales Mastery, at Sales Mastery, you should be walking out of every session and recording on your phone a video saying, hey guys, here's what I learned that's a huge takeaway, because everybody back at the office that didn't go needs to learn from the lessons that you took out of that session, because people can't go for one reason or another. And we should be bringing that content back so that we're all encouraging each other and sharpening, you know, each other's business. And so collaboration, whether it be in person or whether it be jumping online, you got to be doing it. The trick of online is that if you keep it in-house where you're collaborating in-house, you get to keep all those trade secrets. If you don't do that, then you see groups outside of that, like Facebook groups and things like that, where they're collaborating. And the problem with that sometimes is that they end up going, that's an amazing idea. You could do that program. Where do you work again? And then you start seeing recruiting happening in the outside systems. So we want to make the outside available for folks that don't have a coop for their company while still keeping the internal coops where a company runs in the system for people who just want to keep it all in-house. But you're right, we are launching, this year we're launching two major things. One is our app will be rolling out this year, which is going to be insane. It'll be the first internal communication app built specifically for the mortgage industry. And then we're also dropping we are actually building out our public facing coop. So people will be able to subscribe to the coop, get all that. We're curating all mortgage content into one spot. And then people can join collaboration groups. They can join groups with other loan officers just kind of everywhere, build business in a more social environment while still getting a ton of training.
Love it. Well, everybody, I am a massive fan of the Knowledge Cube. We even use it internally at Mortgage Coach. Ken, you know, Elizabeth started this conversation. So one, I want to put a call out to everybody on this call. If you are using, you know, Facebook, whatever technology you're using to collaborate, share content, upgrade yourself, and upgrade your team, please share that. Please, you know, collaborate with Elizabeth on this. Ken, if you or someone on your team could post a link to how someone could either sign up for a future Knowledge Cube or follow you so that they're in the know on what you're doing. And everybody on this call, you know, I guarantee many of you already have the Knowledge Cube with the company that you're at. And it's just using it more. You know, I mean, I'm coming into 2018 and, you know, I am super clear and I believe with a massive passion that our YouTube channel, if it's not the best source of free content to make a loan officer successful, it's certainly among the best. I'll leave it to others to judge what's the best. But one of the things I need to do and we need to do is to make it better organized so that you can get what you want when you want it. And then one of the things that I've taken on for a few months now is doing articles where I transcribe the call, I break down the notes, I create scripts, and I've been posting those on LinkedIn. And so I highly recommend you guys do the same thing. Whether you post it on LinkedIn, I don't think that's the big idea here. The big idea here is content was created, it's absorbed, it's studied, it's put together in a way that you can teach and share it with other people. And I just can't tell you how beneficial that's been for me. Like, I'm smarter, I'm better because I created these articles. And now I shared that content in a way that is more useful to the community that I serve, which is you guys. So I love what you said, Ken. Todd, before we close this topic out, what questions do you have for Ken, or where would you like to take this?
So a couple things. One quick statement. I didn't throw my hat in the ring there yet, but Building Champions started using Microsoft Teams. So I'm 1 week in as a user, so I will contribute some content once we actually start some dialogue, and they're starting next week. But I do think that that's key. I would just shine a light back on what Ken said, right? I mean, I love the idea of someone walking out of a conference, recording a quick 2-3 minute video saying, hey, here's what I learned. How else are you seeing people use the Knowledge Coop internally to help grow their teams?
That's a great question. So growing knowledge, people in the Coop, you ask a question. As you're typing the question, it looks for an answer. So you're getting your answer instead of having to ask somebody. So it goes out globally. If the answer's not there, then you're asking the question and then it's being answered. So it basically builds this huge knowledge base. So that's probably the biggest way that we're seeing it be used. And then connecting, I mean, little things like posting, somebody just had a baby. Let's get some baby pictures in there. Let's get some a birthday announcement. Let's do all of our awards, dropping in a video once a month of what's going on with the company. So we're seeing CEOs drop videos in and just making that connection point where you can comment below a video that your CEO did. And some of our companies are, in the thousands. And so you get a company that's got over 1,000 people and the CEO sends out a message and the company can comment on it. You're just seeing a lot more, they're unified within their company and they feel like they're able to carry the flag a little better because they feel like it's a bond. So a lot of talking there.
So culture, you're building culture internally. And then the Knowledge Coop, give people an idea, like what are some of the Knowledge Coop, what are some of the content that you create that they have access to when they're in there as well?
Good question. We release videos every month. We release 2 sets of videos and basically take something like ECOA, something super boring, and we give you 10 minutes on something that's actually matters to you. So we're talking about what's going on out there, stuff on Mulvaney, everything that's going on in the industry. It's my belief that you need to be an expert in every aspect of the business. And if you're not an expert in FHA, go get some FHA training. We've got some basic stuff in there. But really, if you're not following what's going on with the markets, you need to be. And I would add one thing on what Dave said. Dave's YouTube channel is unbelievable. And I don't do loans. I haven't done a loan in 10, 15, 18 years, whatever. But I still watch those videos because I actually get things from me out of those and they're free. And I think one thing I can challenge everybody to do is just pick a time that you're going to do it. We all have stuff that we do that wastes time. So kill one of your time wasters and replace it with, I'm going to watch 30 minutes of video and I'm going to get better every single day. You have that time, even if it's one of the people in our brainstorming listens to Frank and Brian every day and she just hits play on it when she gets in her car, doesn't watch it, just listens to it. Just get into a habit of getting that knowledge wherever you're getting it, whether it be the Coop or, checking out Dave's YouTube channel. There's enough content in there that you can make a habit out of watching that stuff. Or a TED Talk. TED is life-changing for me.
Yeah, no, TED Talk is definitely a channel that I tune into and subscribe. And again, there's been so many amazing videos that have been game-changing for me also. So folks, I do want to shine a light on the fact that I did post this morning a LinkedIn article around the 12 top mortgage coach interviews We picked these based off of one, how many views it had, how many times it had been shared, how many times it had been liked, and then just feedback from people like Todd. Todd, what are your thoughts on these? So I do want everybody to realize that, we've curated these for your listening pleasure. Jeremy Forcier, was number one by far. I mean, the number of views, the number of likes, the number of shares. His top 5 questions for realtors was huge. One of the first interviews I did this year to kick off 2017 with Darren Hardy, number 2. Nicole Solari, new leader to the Mortgage Coach community. Nicole not only got the number 3 spot, she had 2 videos in the top 10. So that was pretty incredible. Bill Hart was number 4 with the dual market opportunity. John Downs, who is coached by Coach Todd Bookspan, and referred to Mortgage Coach, through Todd Bookspan. So Todd, thank you for activating John Downs and turning him into a power user. He had the number 5 video. So first time I've interviewed John, amazing story. Number 6, Chris Smith, author of The Conversion Code, came in number 6. Cindy Ertman, her 7 steps to 7-figure mortgage success was number 7. Tim Brahim, Tim always brings it. Everybody loves him, was number 8. Danny Hirani had 2 top 12 videos. So how to help a realtor get a move-up listing was 1. Again, Nicole Solari, the modern realtor, was number 10. Number 11, Josh Meadows. Again, this was one of Coach Todd Bookspan's top, I think it was 8 videos that you talked about this Tuesday. And again, Danny came in number 12. So couple things. I love what you said, Ken. You've got to kind of make time for this. And by the way, just because they're videos doesn't mean you can't listen to them from an audio perspective. I hear all the time from Mortgage Coach members that are listening to YouTube videos as an audio, just like a podcast. My ask to everybody is help get the word out on these. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, and please share your favorite videos with your team and with mortgage friends that you care about. My intention with this video project is I believe that by 2020, there's going to be more change in the mortgage industry over the next 2 years than we've seen in the previous 10 years. So I really see 2020 is a year that you need to be transformed. You need to be a modern mortgage professional that is using your database super intelligently, that's using technology to amplify your humanity and your personal voice. And so we're dedicated to being a place that interviews loan officers that are modern mortgage professionals and that are doing those things. And hopefully you guys will help get the word out on that. Todd, anything you want to share on that, or Ken, before we move on to a new topic?
I'll say 2 things and I'll let Ken talk. Number 1 is I'm just throwing it out there. I think Ken and I are going to come up with we're going to team up and we're going to do a video that will make the top 12 next year. I'm just throwing it out there now, Ken. I don't know what idea you're going to come up with that'll be so brilliant that people want to binge watch it, but I'm just throwing it out there now that we're going to have to do that. But, my other thought, you talked about the Mortgage Coach channel. You already have the topic?
No, I heard the challenge. I heard that as a total challenge for us. So I'm good.
I like that. We can get the Avocado family to come on maybe and be our guests.
Oh.
That would be good. But my other ask of the community is it's funny. I'm in a Facebook group of realtors that has over 20,000 realtors, and they have a lot of dynamic conversation. And I think our Mortgage Coach group, Dave, our Productivity Mastermind group, has that potential. But I think we're stalled at like 1,500 and change. So I'm going to throw it out to the rest of you on the call. Help us get your friends and coworkers who are loan officers into our group so that we can increase the conversation there by having more bodies in there that can contribute. I think that'll be, probably the other key going forward. And you're right, just listen to it. I did that on my way here, right? We were talking about the Wally Elderberry video that you did yesterday, Dave, that you posted, and I listened to it on the car coming in the office to get ready today so I could listen to it, and I wasn't watching it. I was just listening. What do you think, Ken?
Hey, one thing, Ken, before you go, I want everybody to realize that if you are in our Mortgage Mastermind group, the permissions that we've set up, you can add people. So there is a little right-hand column here. You can pick the mortgage friends that you think, either one, you care about them and you want to bring them into it, or you think this would be valuable, invite them to this group. And again, you can invite realtors. The topic is just success, how to be more productive and more successful. So whoever you think would be a good fit, feel free to invite folks. Ken, any thoughts before we change the topic?
I would add just real briefly, I read this book called Leading the Revolution, killer book that talks about how to read books and how to make notes in books. One thing I would apply to video is if I'm going to watch video if I'm going to listen to 30 to 45 minutes of video, I'm going to write down, because I journal a lot, and I'm going to write down the 3 or 4 things I took out of that. And I'd recommend everybody do that, because so many times you've seen a video, you learned something, but you didn't write it down. And so later on, there's no value there. It's going to fall out of your head, especially as we get older, we start losing the ability to hold on to all the stuff that used to be in our head. And so you just write it down and then go back through that maybe once a month at a time. We can go back through and look at all the things that you've learned and go, oh my gosh, totally forgot to implement that one, but I wrote it down. Now I can, still have that opportunity. So that's what I would recommend too.
I love that. So tell me what's your review habit? So you do it once a month? Is that scheduled or happens occasionally?
Yeah, I do it on airplanes. So it's a good time to go back and just kind of look at some of the things that you've written. I actually just looked at journals from 2010, 2009. And I journal a ton of stuff. And I was journaling my marriage during the time that we had really dropped off in business and everybody was suffering and the world was falling apart. And so I was journaling at that point a lot around my marriage and what kind of husband I wanted to be. And so it's funny to go back and see your perspective from back there and just what you were focused on and things like that. So just depends on, when I've got time, but typically airplanes are a great time to reflect. And I'm on a lot of them, so it works.
Yeah, so not everybody is on an airplane as much as Ken. So that's what jam sessions are for. Schedule some time, and good takeaway. In fact, I am going to make another ask because I love that, Ken. I posted this interview I did with Wally Elderberry yesterday, and I personally believe at this point that doing annual reviews for your past customers, if it's not the number one most important thing you should be doing in January or February, it's either number 1 or number 2. The only thing that's a close tie is actually having a meeting with a realtor. Meeting with a realtor might be more important in your annual reviews, but it's one of the top 2 things you should do. I believe that. Wally believes that. Todd Bookspan believes that. Rick Shearer believes that. And so I want to have an ask, if you wouldn't mind, what were your top 3 takeaways from this video? And Ken, if you don't mind, just because I respect you so much, and this is also so important to the Mortgage Coach mission, would you mind watching this video, taking some notes, and then sharing with everybody how you create notes so we can kind of see how a guy like you that's been taking actionable notes, would take something like this and break it down? Is that too big of ask?
No, that's fine. Love to do that.
All right. So appreciate that. So guys, if you have a question for Ken or for Todd, raise your hand. I'm going to change the subject in just 1 minute, but I'm going to see if anybody raised their hand. We will unmute you and bring anybody that raises their hand a question. Also, I'm going to check out the questions. Todd, if you could help me keep an eye on these questions too. Here's one from Walt Brewer. He said, what are your 3 words? Because that's one of my, kind of rhythms that I've done with the community for years is I always start the new year with, what are my 3 words? Usually presence is one of my 3 words. Some years it's curiosity, some years it's focus. It changes. By the way, I don't know my 2018 3 words yet but let's see. Walt said his 3 words for 2008 are be present, simplify, and be strategic. So, Walt, good job on getting clear on those. By the way, those are 3 badass words to focus on. I did post in the Facebook group, what are your 3 words? So I do want to throw that out to anyone. If you've got clear on 3 words that are going to be your beacon for 2018, share that in the Facebook group. Any other questions come up?
It's funny because I wrote mine down here when we were on the call. I was actually thinking out loud since I'm taking notes, and I called it the acronym of ACE: accountability, courage, and execution for 2018. I feel like if people aren't being held accountable, that the likelihood of them getting where they want to go is potentially going to diminish. I think it takes courage to be different going forward. I was actually, courage was one of my words of 2017 also, but I felt like people were in a are used to doing things the same way over and over again, and you actually have to be courageous to try something different. And then I think it always comes to execution, right? We already talked about it. There's so many great ideas in the mortgage coach community that we all know about, but I just find that only a handful of people actually execute. And, Wally's video is a perfect example of that. He's heard about annual client reviews for a long time. I mean, I think the first time I talked about it on a Tuesday call was in 2010. And it's been around, but someone like Wally, who's doing $100 million, to say, gosh, how am I going to get to the next level? He had to have courage and he had to execute. And he did both those things. So I love that. And I guess he also had the accountability piece because he called it out on a video with you to all of us. And, he kind of would look like a schmo if you circled back to him. He's like, yeah, no, I didn't really do that. I was just kidding.
Yeah, no, I think so. I want to throw really the rest of the call. Let's talk about accountability. By the way, I do know one of my 3 words that I know I'm gonna use, which is ownership. I know me personally. Last year I read Extreme Ownership. I listened to the audio book, and I definitely grew as a leader. And I feel like I've always owned my results and owned my outcomes. But I personally, I think I could take that to an even higher level. And I'm gonna, that's gonna be one of my 3 words for 2018. But please, in the Facebook group, share your top 3 words. And Todd, if you don't mind throwing those in after the call, although I know how you are, you'll probably be doing it during the call. I'm kidding. I know you wouldn't do that. So let's talk about accountability, and let's kick off that conversation with Ken. The other reason I invited you to this call was that 4-minute Facebook video that I shared in our group that I just thought, how on point. I mean, big goal. So I don't want you to, if you want to repeat the 4-minute video, but why don't you, tell them the story, tell them how you created accountability in like 5 minutes, and then let's rip as a community, the 3 of us and everybody on the call is, how can we do a better job individually with accountability? Who are the accountability partners in our life that work? What are the accountability strategies that haven't worked? And let's just rip on that, guys. So Ken, kick it off. And I'm going to jump off my camera so that you're on stage.
So I think you're talking about the push-up video is my guess.
You guessed right.
Yeah. So just briefly, at the end of last year, I was sitting there, I actually caught myself in the mirror and I was like, wow, you just don't try. And so I decided that I would make a commitment to do a push-up every day in addition to the push-ups I was already doing. So I did 1 push-up on January 1st, 2 on January 2nd, 3 on January 3rd, 4 on January 4th. And at that point, I couldn't do 10 push-ups without being exhausted. And so you just kind of keep adding. So every day you add 1, which ended up getting up to 30, of course, on the 30th of January. And yesterday was 362, I think was yesterday. Today's 363, and then 4, and then tomorrow, 5 in 2 days, I'll do 365 push-ups in 1 day. So you just do that many each day. And what's funny about it is it really isn't that hard to do as long as your body stays intact. And I went out to friends on Facebook and just said, who wants in? And so I think there was 20 of us that jumped in, and we created a Google Sheet so everybody can update all their push-ups. So every day you put an X next to the day that you did it. And the rule is you can't go forward, but you can go backward. So I was sick for a week 2 weeks ago. And during my sickness, I was literally on the couch, passed out like dead, so bad. And I would wake up and just do as many push-ups as I could do. And but you can make up for them. So after my sickness, I only went down 350 push-ups. And so then when I got better, I did 350 plus what I had already done. So you can make up for time so that you're accounting for when you're sick. And you end up doing 66,700 and something push-ups by the end of the year. So that's the amount of push-ups I will have done this year. Next year, I'm doing that with sit-ups and inviting people to join me in the sit-up challenge. While keeping my push-ups, I'm going to go to a 366 on the 1st, 367 on the 3rd. So I'm going to take a day in between. So I'm switching up my push-ups because I don't want to just drop them and go back to it. I want to keep the momentum going. But the big thing, the lesson that was in my video was, how do you do it? And like watching people do this was fascinating. Because some people just dropped out in the first month. They're like, and they put 20 bucks in. So they're like, throw my 20 bucks away. And they just dropped out because it was not working for them. And so watching how people reacted to this was interesting. I had the accountability of the checklist, and also my wife saying, hey, how you doing with your push-ups? And so I knew that I would have accountability with my wife because she's amazing at holding me accountable to the things that I say that I'm going to do. I also had my office. Some of the people in my office joined in. And so I got to watch what works and what doesn't. The interesting thing is people that stayed in longest were husband and wife teams who were doing them together. And so that was interesting. If you've got somebody that's right next to you doing them, then you'll do them. For me, when I started this slip at my office, a couple of the guys, I would just go, hey guys, you want to do some push-ups with me? And then we'd encourage each other to do them. And you just drop in the office and do some push-ups. And so that helps, knowing somebody else is with you and you're not alone. And these apply to any goal that you're setting for this year. That accountability piece is huge. And then the other thing is making a decision. You know, you come up on January 1st and you start going, oh, what's my New Year's resolution going to be? Make it like it's real. Like when I made the commitment on January 1st, I'm like, I'm just going to do this and I'm going to carry it through the end of the year. I had made that decision that this wouldn't be something I'd messed around with. I've made other decisions in the past where like I made New Year's resolutions where I'm like, hey, we'll see. With this one, I was like, no, it's going to happen. Like I've firmly made my decision that's going to happen. And so that was another thing that kept me going. And then the other thing, the big one, is taking a before picture. I'm amazed at how much you can change in your life and not realize how much you've changed. Like I was growing by doing push-ups. I was getting more fit, but I didn't feel like it because I saw myself every day. And so the good news is I snapped a picture in the beginning of the year of my chest, of my upper body. And so in May, I snapped a picture when I was like, is this even doing anything? And I held the pictures up. I'm like, oh my gosh, it totally is. So when you're making goals, take your before picture where whether it's sit-ups or push-ups or whatever you're doing, or like I mentioned in my video, using like Headspace or any sort of mindfulness app. If that's your commitment that every day I'm going to use mindfulness app, then start journaling how you feel about how your brain thinks, all that stuff. Because you'll find as you do that, your brain like frees up and you're able to get more accomplished because you're doing it. But you want to be able to go back and go, oh my gosh, I was totally locked up. Like, you know, write down what matters to you right now, write down what's important, what you're stressed about. And then as you go throughout the year, find out if those are still things or if you were able to work through them by doing that commitment to mindfulness. So whatever you're doing, that's the big piece is accountability before pictures and make your decisions.
All right, guys. So while I personally think 66,000 push-ups in a year is like a crazy accomplishment, you know, and as much as I want to get healthier, I'm not going to commit to 66,000 push-ups this year, nor 66,000 sit-ups. But I know I need to get healthier, so I'm going to figure out what's the right goal for me. But
Dave, just commit to one push-up. That's what you do, and then commit to 2, and then 3. I could not do 10 when I started.
Well, I can do 10. The thing is, I can do 10. I can do 20. I mean, can't do 100 straight. By the way, let's get off push-ups because I want to focus this on mortgage goals. But I do want to know how many push-ups can you now do, like without, you know, just like how many push-ups can you just pop off?
I've done 100 in one time. I did 100 in a row just to see if I could. But typically, I'll do between 60 and 70.
So 50 to 70 is just like, boom, you just jump down and knock that out. All right.
Yep.
Good to know. By the way, that's badass. So I know for sure one thing that if every mortgage professional dedicated themselves to doing annual reviews and figuring out, you know, hey, how many past customers do I have? How many annual reviews do I need to do? That you would most likely double your production because just knowing the stats of how many loans are out there, if you have 500-ish past customers, that's at least 50 loans. That's like 50 to 100 loans that if you just did this one thing, you'd have that business. And if you have over 1,000 past customers, that's an extra 100 to 150 loans every year. By the way, undisputable. And right now, Wally Elderberry is proving that out. He's like 3 months into, you know, his goal is to do 100 to 120 loans in 2018 from annual reviews, and he's 2 months into it, and he hasn't even perfected his system, and he's doing it. So I know that's a good goal for the mortgage coach community. I also know it's a good goal to do a mortgage coach total cost analysis every time you have a borrower lead. You know, whether you ran a credit report or not, if you did that, you would make more money in less time. You'd be more productive. So I want to throw a challenge out to everybody from a mortgage perspective. And I know there's other good goals. I mean, obviously I drink the Mortgage Coach Kool-Aid. I believe in the value that we bring. But what are some other, like one thing that if you dedicated yourself throughout the year to do it and get better, it would make a drastic change in your mortgage success? Obviously, going from not even being able to do 10 straight push-ups to being able to knock off 50 to 70, Ken Perry has transformed his fitness as a result of that goal. So, by the way, maybe I even need to rethink. Maybe that's the goal. You know, just if I could do that, I would transform my fitness. But what is that goal? So I'm going to throw out, when I'm not talking here, a question in the Mortgage Coach Facebook page. What's your one big goal for 2017? I'm a focus on professional. If someone else wants to throw it out and make it, you know, a personal goal, that's great. But I want to know, what is your, as a mortgage professional, a modern mortgage professional, what's your number one 2017 thing that's going to transform you? So I want to know that. Now, guys, let's riff about accountability. And Ken, you already shared some of your accountability strategies. Coach Todd, what are some other ideas that would help members say, hey, I got a big goal, and now here are some ideas to create the accountability to make it happen? What are some other thoughts?
So I got a few ideas, right? One is I heard from Ken, which I find is true with me and a lot of my clients, is, you know, you need an accountability partner, right? So, you know, he said people who did it with their spouses, which ironically for me, that's when I run, right? I run with my wife. If she and I aren't running together, then I'm not running by myself typically. And so who is it that you can help become accountable with? I mean, biggest reason people hire a coach is to have someone to hold them accountable. And ironically, you don't have to pay for that if you can find someone else who will actually hold you accountable. I think one of the other big ahas from what Ken said is he made a commitment that would have been really easy. I mean, how many of you have friends or yourselves that made a public commitment on Facebook or elsewhere, and then as you get further in the year, that kind of goes down and crashes, right? Well, here's Ken a couple days from the end of the year, and he's crushing his commitment along with a handful of his buddies. I think I may have been one of those people who was in for the first week and never actually made it to the spreadsheet with Ken. So I'll throw it out there. I know that that's the key. So I would just tell you, who can you become accountable with? I'll certainly throw out something that we'll be doing. A lot of you are using Win by Noon. We're getting ready to launch our Quick Start program. It's a free 7-day launch for people who are using the planner. But the other part we're going to do is we're going to do basically a pilot. It's going to be a 90-day pilot of an accountability piece that'll go with that. So if you haven't signed up for that, you can do it. Just reach out to me. I'm happy to get you linked in, because we'll be doing weekly accountability through that, where we're going to be tracking things, not just your mortgage-related activity, but also the results. So we will be tracking TCAs in there. We will be tracking annual mortgage reviews, as well as, you know, leads applications, closed loans. I mean, really where the magic happens. So I'm looking forward to seeing what kind of participation we get in that. And since at least for the first quarter, there's no cost to it, I'd love to see a bunch of you guys on there, because you guys are the community that's made a lot of this happen. What are your thoughts, Ken?
Yeah, so I look at accountability in an interesting way, where I think for coaching, I now have 2 coaches. So definitely you need coaching for building your business. And I have one coach for building my, you know, where should the business be going and things like that. I've just added another coach at Building Champions. So now I'll be getting my coaching there as well on leadership and my own style and what I want to be doing. So there's coaching, and I think that's vital. And then with other things, though, like I have accountability from different people over different things. So, and it's really funny because I own the company. I founded it 15 years ago, yet I've got a brand new sales assistant who's been with us less than a year. And I met with her right away and I said, look, I'm not going to do these things unless you make me. Like there's things I don't want to do. And so you have the ability to make me. And so you empower people in your life to call you on stuff. And it's weird because that doesn't work with everybody. Like we had somebody at the company years ago and I was like, you have to make me. She's like, I'm not comfortable making you do things. I'm like, then it's not going to work because I'm not going to do them. Like I know myself well enough. My wife always says, know thyself. I know what I'm going to screw up on unless somebody calls me on it, and I've got to assign that to somebody else. I just had the meeting with Nathan, who you've seen walk back and forth a couple of times, where I'm like, dude, I want to do things. So I say I want to do them. It doesn't mean I'm gonna. And I need like the accountability of, checking in and saying, is that something you really want to do? And then be the implementer of that thing. I have ADHD, always have, and like legit ADHD. And so for me, knowing myself and knowing where I need accountability allows me to hand that to people. And it's not, at first it feels like a weakness. Like, I can't believe I'm so bad at this that I can't do it. But I have a lot of really good strengths that offset that. So know your strengths, and where you have weakness, get accountability. Where you have strengths, get sharpening of the sword, get somebody who's above you who can actually walk you through that growth.
I love your idea on different people holding you accountable for different things. I think that that's something that we probably all have someone in our life who can assist us with. I think there's a great opportunity there for all of us to learn, because there's probably somebody around you. And I do agree, it is hard. I mean, not every person, even if you're paying them to hold you accountable, will. So I think that was good advice too. What do you think, Dave?
So I don't think there's any one strategy. And not only is there no one strategy for one person, there's different goals that we have where different accountability strategies work. Obviously, if you have a professional coach that is actually helping you create accountability, that's an awesome approach. Ken, with your push-up challenge, you started a group, you got 20 people into it. It obviously worked for you. Obviously, it didn't work for others. And my guess is the reason it didn't work for others is they didn't have the same why that you did. Like your why was so clear and so passionate for you. I know when I did an interview with Navy SEAL, Phil Black. So Phil Black, it was my first interview with him years ago. And not only was he a Navy SEAL, but he was a Navy SEAL trainer. Not only was he a Navy SEAL, he was a graduate of Harvard and Yale. So, I mean, this incredibly accomplished human being. And he talked about the number one differentiator making it through Navy SEALs wasn't your fitness, wasn't your mental strength, it was your why. Why did you want to be a Navy SEAL? And that just completely, like, some of the best athletes didn't make it. So some of the best athletes that went through Navy SEAL training didn't make it because they didn't have the right why. So they didn't have a why that worked for them. So just getting clear on your why is huge. So I do want to just throw out a few ideas on accountability, especially as it pertains to your business goals. And I'm just going to focus on mortgage coach business goals, like every family gets a total cost analysis or everybody gets an annual review. I personally love what John Downs said in his interview, where he used his realtor partners as accountability partners. He said, hey, I know that I should be doing this thing. And in this case, it was mortgage coach. But it could have been anything. It could have been CRM. It could have been a certain type of updates. It could have been a lot of habits that would improve his business. But he met with his realtors, by the way, not casual relationships. He met with his best realtors, the people that meant the most to him financially, the people that he had the most trust and credibility with. And he had a conversation with them, and that created an accountability mechanism where it's like, I burned the bridge. I just showed them there's a better way to do things. I got to do it now. So I think everybody on this call has a few realtors or referral partners that could help you upgrade your mortgage practice. So don't forget about those people. And then I know just one thing I'm going to do personally after hearing your story, Ken, knowing some goals that I've had that I haven't hit, just really put some deep thought into how am I creating accountability for the things that are most important in my life and picking the right strategy. So I'm going to show the Facebook group real quick because I want everybody to take note that I posted a few things in here. I posted, how are you creating accountability around your goals? Great conversation. Again, it will only be as great as the comments and collaboration. So hopefully it'll be a great question. We'll get some great feedback. I input the question, what is your number one business goal for 2008? That will make the most impact in your business. So would love to know. And by the way, Luke, profits, that's good. And by the way, that might be, however you guys want to answer it, but I'd love to know, Luke, what is the thing that you need to do to enhance your profits? Like, what is the tactic, strategy, habit, thing that you want to do to enhance that? And then again, folks, I put in this question today. What are your 3 words for 2018? I will post mine when they're clear to me. And anybody else who has clarity, please post on it. So guys, we are in the last 9 minutes of today's call. Anybody on this call that wants to post a question, we will stop talking and bring you in and make you the priority. So far, no one has their hand raised. By the way, I may just call on someone. So, be prepared for me just calling on you. And by the way, Rick Gary, thinking about calling on you. Tim Lamb, thinking about calling on you. Tristan might be calling on you. But with that said, let's do some rapid fire. No talking for over a minute at a time. Ken, what do you think are, just knowing what you know about, what is the one thing that you think loan officers aren't doing that they should be doing?
Gosh, that's a good question. I think being in front of more people, I see way too many loan officers at their office. One of my goals for last year was I don't travel without 3 meetings. And so every time I drop into any city, we look at who's there that I should be meeting with. And sometimes that's been a stretch of like, all right, this dude, and it's turned into something amazing. And so any loan officer that leaves their office should have some sort of goal of, if I'm going to leave my office, I'm going to go and have, no less than 3 meetings. If I walk into a real estate agent's office, I'm going to have no less than X. Like, know what your goals are there and stretch yourself to get out more, because the business isn't in your office, it's outside of your office. And so go build those relationships. I think that would be my one thing.
Yeah, we will. A little over a minute, but that's okay. That was good. Good content. That's okay. Todd, 1 minute.
I'll go short. I'll go short. I'm surprised Ken didn't say be more compliant. You know what? I just say reverse engineer what John Downs did, right? Go out and offer accountability to your realtor partners, and therefore you'll get accountability back. I mean, what better way to mastermind with them in 2018 by helping them in an area that we know they need help, because it's only going to help you as well. So there you go. 30 seconds. Done.
All right. And Todd, just go back and forth. By the way, if one of you guys has a question for me, throw it. Ken, in 30 seconds or less, what is the one book everybody should just start reading right now? If you had one book to say, guys, read this book over the holidays.
Man, one book. I just finished Nate, what did we just read? This is my 30 seconds. No.
4 Disciplines of Execution?
Leadership and Self-Deception. Read Leadership and Self-Deception.
Okay, awesome.
That was
Todd, what's the one
seconds.
book? Oh, yeah, that was like 10 seconds.
I'm reading Tribe of Mentors right now. It's a pretty thick read. I'm a slow reader, but I've seen a ton of groups. We tried to get it going here on our page, and I was shocked at how few people had an input on what books, but there is a thread in there on what books to read for this year. I think there's some great books. And I just mentioned 4 Disciplines of Execution. If you're trying to figure out how to help your team reach your goals for next year, that would be a great one to read.
Yeah, I'm right now reading Principles. And I'm just blown away at what an incredible book it is, because it just really gets you to think about what are my principles. And then he talks about the importance of writing them down in a way that's clear to you and clear to others. So it's my one book. Ken, any questions you have for me or Todd?
Wow. Dave, I can't wait to hear your 3 words. So keep working on those for us. I don't know. What do you guys think here's what I want to know. As far as a loan officer going out and finding conferences, we've talked about learning and going and like getting TED Talks and stuff like that. As far as going out and being at conferences, what do you think are the best conferences if you're a loan officer that don't miss them, business changing conferences out there?
Well, I'm just going to evangelize sales mastery. I mean, Todd Duncan does a great job with picking a venue and creating an experience where on stage it's quality content, it's inspirational, and off stage you're in a venue to network, mastermind, and there's such quality people. So I mean, there are the great events, Stephen Marshall's Mastermind event, and there are other great regional events. But in terms of just transformational experiences, I mean, that is the event that has transformed my career. And then in terms of people that if you've been to a lot of events, you're looking for like, what's that next event? And you haven't been to the Building Champions experience. I mean, that is my personal favorite event, but I just, you know, I don't want to say it's not for everyone. I mean, it's amazing content. And then it's half the time is just to work on yourself in Bend, Oregon, you know, or, you know, it is my favorite event, but it's almost like you need to be at a certain level to one, you know, make that investment and get everything. So, well, anyways, those are my two. Todd, what's your answer?
You know, I think you're right about the mortgage-specific events. I made a commitment for 2018 as I'm going outside of the mortgage space to do some learning. I mentioned it here before. Josh Metal and I are going through the Genius Network together, where we're meeting a few times this year. He and I with a group of other entrepreneurs, so I'm excited about that. And then I'm hopping on a plane in January. If anyone else is going, let me know. I'm going to Vayner Media. Gary Vaynerchuk's doing a thing called Agent 2021, where it's centered around realtors, life insurance, or insurance agents, travel industry, and then financial advisors. So I'm just looking to see how they're going to talk to those 4 different industries to see what there is for me to learn. So I'm excited to kind of get outside of my shell and go see what else is out there.
I think that's so smart, Todd. And I do want to throw out, last year I went to Inman Connect in New York. It blew my mind. I mean, one, it was incredibly quality done. 2, the quality of the real estate agents were there. And I'm probably going to go again this year. By the way, Simon Sinek is speaking at the New York event. So I'll probably be there again this year. But that, by the way, that is another great event for loan officers, is the Inman Connect events. So by the way, that's a great question. Kid, if you don't mind throwing that in the Facebook group and saying, hey, what events are you going to this year? We'd love to know. So guys, we are at 2 minutes left. I want to give a quick look to see if anybody's raised their hand. Elizabeth,
you know,
by the way, Elizabeth,
one thing I'll throw out there.
Your question answered. Go ahead, Todd.
One thing I'll throw out there is that Ken goes and sits in on Senate hearings and on compliance meetings like the CFPB talking and stuff. I think that's super interesting too, at least for him to do.
Yeah, right.
There you go.
Hey, that's why we love Ken. Ken can go to that meeting, take the notes, make a video to make it funny. Grateful for that, brother. Hey guys, so let's wrap it up. This has been a fantastic hour for anybody that joined us for this hour. Hopefully you got some takeaways. Hopefully you took some notes. I wish everybody a happy new year. Thank you for investing in this community, and for everybody that comments, asks questions, shares, especially a big hug, because that's what makes the Mortgage Coach community great. It's great people sharing great ideas. Ken, thanks for making it and being a guest. And Todd, as always, man, you are an amazing co-host. This call would not happen if it wasn't for you. So thanks for being my partner on this Friday call.
Dude, it's my pleasure. I can't believe this whole year we started off with just a small group of people who had gone through insane productivity, and we weren't really sure what the plan was. And here we are. We got 1,500 people now in the group. So I'm super grateful for you. I'm grateful for all the people in this group, and I just can't wait to see what 2018 has to bring. And now that we got Ken Perry along, and we'll bring him in back for all you guys too. It'll be a lot of fun.
All right. Happy New Year, everybody.
All right. Peace, guys. Thanks, everyone.
Take care.